Let me ask you something honestly, Mama. Have you ever looked at someone else's business, their growth, their success, or even their consistency and thought, I should be further along than this? Maybe you've even said, I started before her. Oh my gosh, I've been working so hard. I thought I'd be making more money by now. And if we are really honest with ourselves, it doesn't just feel like frustration, it feels like maybe you're behind. But today, we're going to deal with that when we return. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Making of a Mompreneur Show. I am your host, Rasheeda Green, the founder and CEO of Get Coaching, the host of the wonderful Mompreneur HQ Facebook community, and the creator of the Digi Mompreneur Academy, where we help moms who are desperate to find time, money, and location freedom to start, grow, and scale online digital businesses so that they can build the life of their dreams without neglecting themselves or their families in the process. Now, we do that through a number of ways, including coaching, content, community, and of course, the Digi Mompreneur Academy. All right. If you are joining us live, go ahead and drop hashtag live in the comments and tell us where you're tuning in from. So it'll be hashtag live North Carolina, hashtag live Hawaii, whichever where you at, wherever you at. Let us know. And of course, if you are watching the replay, we love you because you took time, even though you missed the show, to watch the replay. So thank you so much. And you do the same. Hashtag replay and where you're tuning in from. And as per usual, we like to make sure that you have your pen, paper, and digital device to take down any notes or any memorable nuggets that you want to keep for future reference. Why is this one here right? I need to. Moms, right? We just do stuff, and I was trying to make sure I was ready for y'all, and but at the same time, looks like I might have messed up my head trying to get ready. But anyway, back to the show. All right, so we've been talking about our previous series is as we walk along the BFFs, which is our four pillars: business, faith, family, and self-care. We talked extensively about business, where we broke down the process of idea to income for a digital product business. If you have not watched that show, definitely go check it out on our YouTube channel. It is there for your viewing at your leisure. You can even put it on 1.5 speed so that you can get all the information quickly and in a way where you can sit down and get the information between naps, snacks, or what have you. All right, but now we are moving on to a brand new series. We're doing the F's, and it's faith and the mompreneur journey, trusting God while you build. That is our series that we're going to work on for the next few weeks. So, definitely, if you are a Christian mom entrepreneur, then these episodes are going to be for you to be able to grow your faith and your business and not get burned out. And this series, again, is very close to my heart because building a business is not just about being strategic, it is spiritual. There is a correlation between the gifts that you have and the gifts that you share through your business. And if your faith is not anchored, this journey will have you questioning everything, literally, including yourself, right? What makes me think that I can do this? Why am I even doing this? I don't have the skill set. I'm not a professional. Why did I even start this? Just all these what ifs. But if God has dropped a purpose in your spirit and in your heart to do these things, then go ahead and get it done. It's better to be obedient than it is to sacrifice. All right. So today we're talking about you're not behind, trusting God's timing in your business journey. We are on this digital business journey together, and we are not alone. And if you thought you were alone because you didn't have business besties or someone who would be able to guide you, that right? Because sometimes we're in that space where we believe we have this business in our heart, but we don't have people who are business minded around us, who are encouraging us and building us up and showing us tips and tricks to be able to do what we do better. So sometimes it could be very lonely, but guess what? You are not behind. You are not alone. Jesus walks with you. Interesting. Okay. So I'm just going to say, let me say this clearly before we go any further. You are not alone. You are not behind. And I know it feels like it sometimes. I know social media makes it look like everyone is moving faster, doing more, and achieving bigger things. But your timeline is not random. It is not happenstance. It is not coincidence. It is very intentional. And when you believe you're behind, you start making decisions from pressure instead of peace. We don't want you to do that. Okay? No pressure, because there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. That is Ecclesiastes 3:1. And the Bible reminds us that there is a time for everything and a season for every activity. And so that means that this season that you're in right now is not random. It's assigned. It's going to build you. It's going to teach you. And so, even as we go through these ups and downs as entrepreneurs in our businesses, sometimes we make money, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we make a lot of money, sometimes it's just a little bit. Sometimes we have clients, and sometimes we don't. But everything happens for a reason. So, instead of taking it as a blow, instead of taking it as a knockdown or a step back, think of it as an opportunity to learn, opportunity to grow, opportunity to change and build from what didn't work to what will work. Okay. So let's start by understanding point number one. Comparison distorts your timeline. Okay. We're going to talk about comparison for a minute, because most of the time, the feeling of being behind, it doesn't come from your actual progress. It doesn't even come from your brain, right? It's like it comes from what you're looking at, what other people are doing, what they say it should be the time frame that things should happen. You're comparing your behind the scenes learning lessons, growing pains to someone else's highlight reel, because that's what they putting on the internet, all the good stuff. Oh, we made $1 million. What took you to 1 million? And how long did it take you to get to 1 million? What struggles did you overcome to get that million? What obstacles did you face to get to that million? You're comparing yourself to somebody's highlight reels. Their wins and their established systems. Guess what? Established systems don't get established until you establish them. Do you understand what I'm saying? Maybe you don't. I just made that up real quick. But really, in order to establish a system, you have to start a system. You have to try out a system. Then you have to make sure it is cohesive and it works together so that it becomes an established system. So if you are in the beginning phases, and your email is not linked up with with the right service provider, or your payment processor is not linking to your website, that's the beginning stages. These are things that happen at the beginning. And you won't learn all those things until you actually do those things. While you're fixing it, then that's how you learn, oh, this is where it should be, and this is how it should connect, and this is my this is my funnel, and great, I'm done now. But there are steps in between. So if you're comparing yours just starting out the box phase to somebody already at their $10 million mark phase, you're going to feel some kind of way. That's a natural feeling. But I don't want you to compare yourself to other people in any way. Yes, we have competitive research, competitive market research. I get that. But don't compare yourself to someone else. That comparison creates a false narrative. It tells you that I should be further. I'm not doing enough. I'm missing something. I'm this big step I'm missing or something. But you're really not missing anything. You're in a different season. That's it. You're in a different season. It is not your season right now to be at that point. There are some bumps and bruises that you may need to experience before you get to that point. Why? Because with every test, there's a testimony. So you have to go through the test in order to get the testimony. You are not going to be able to give that testimony if you haven't gone through the test. When you're talking with your clients, and they're saying, oh, they're at their point A and you're at point B. Oh, I'm just struggling. If you didn't go through step A to get to step B, you wouldn't be able to tell them how to do it, how to overcome it, how to be successful even in a step A. So think of it that way. It's an opportunity. It's a testimony building time where you are not going to be where that person is until you get through what you need to get through, until you do and take the steps that you need to take. So if you're starting on day one, I'm sure if you ask that person who was on day 366 that they had to go through those 365 days in order to get to where they are today, that they couldn't, that if they wouldn't have an appreciation for where they are now if they didn't have those other days. So please, I want you to remember that comparison distorts your timeline, and you don't want to distort a timeline. You want your specific designated time that has been ordained to be a pleasant experience, even in tribulation, I was about to say, but even when you're going through. Okay, so the comparison distorts your timeline. Next, we want to talk about how God's timing is not a delay, is development. It goes to what I just said, right? Here's the shift that I want you to make. What if this season you're in right now isn't really a delay because it's intentional? What if it's development? What if God is building your discipline, your character, your consistency, your capacity? What if he's building you and developing you, because the version of you that receives the next level has to be ready to sustain it, right? We hear about that even with lottery winners, right? You see all these shows about the lottery winners who win all this money, but they lose it in such a short time. Why? Because they weren't ready for it. There are times when you think that you should be further along. But what if you were further along? What if you did have 20 clients hit you at one time? Yes, I want to work with you. Oh my God. Are you ready? Are your systems prepared for 20 clients? Do you have an onboarding experience already ready? Do you have your payment processor up? Do you have your client portal set up? Do you have your schedule clean so that you can receive all the scheduled appointments, coaching sessions for those 20 people? So it's almost, be careful what you pray for, because you just might get it, right? And if you're not ready to receive it and you're not ready to sustain it, then that may not be a pleasant experience for that client or those clients who are like ready to work with you, but because you weren't ready to receive them, now there's a bad taste in their mouth. And guess what they're going to do? Tell other people about it. You want to be able to be ready to sustain it, because growth without preparation ends up leading to overwhelm. Oh my gosh, I got 20 clients coming at one time. I don't have my page up. I don't have the links. My email respond is not. You get panicked, you get overwhelmed. But you know what development does? It creates stability. It gives you the means to be able to handle what comes your way, because you've been developed along the way. We had an experience with my daughter trying to learn how to ride a bicycle, and she hadn't learned. She gave up really quickly. And we said, okay, we're going to try it again now. And so she has training wheels on her bike. And she was so upset. She came in the house. She was actually screaming outside. I'm like, what in the world? And she was so upset because she couldn't get it. She was so frustrated. And I had to tell her, hey, and she's saying about how everybody else can ride a bike and she can't even ride a bike with training wheels on. And I'm like, everybody learns differently, right? But you got to learn. You can't just give up and quit because you didn't get it today. It's called practice. You got to practice it so that you can get better at it. You got to develop the skills, the balancing skills, to be able to get the training wheels off. And calm down, relax. I know it's frustrating, but you can do it. You just got to give it time. And so when we're in that developmental stage, when we might see it as a delay, we might see it as a block, but it's a development. It's helping you to develop into the person that you need to be able to receive all those clients and to onboard the clients and create. Because guess what? Another thing, if you're a product seller, if you get 20 orders all at one time at that vendor event, are you ready? Do you have enough supply? And if you don't, do you have your vendors list lined up so that you can get something quick so that you can do the products and ship them out to your clients in a reasonable time? I even had that experience recently with somebody wanted something that I had already sold out of, and then they wanted that something, and I was like, I don't know, that was it. That was it. And they was so disappointed because I didn't have anything. I didn't have any extras. And interesting enough, I did order what the person wanted so I can get it to her, but by the time I got it, it was after the date that she needed it. So not only was that a missed sale, a missed opportunity, but it was a learning lesson, even a learning lesson for me, that if I'm going to do this, then I need to be prepared. So if I have X number of items and I sell out, that should be fine. But be prepared to know what the time frame turnaround is if you needed to reorder some stuff and get it to somebody for a particular to be able to make the sale. So again, it may seem like a delay, it may seem like a pause, but it's really a developmental stage, a developmental season where you can get to learn from whatever it is, the experiences that you're experiencing, so that you can turn that test into a testimony. And that leads me to my next point. Pressure will push you out of alignment. When you feel behind, you start rushing. You feel like you got this pressure to do something. You got to do something. And you start saying yes to things that you didn't pray about. You start copying strategies that don't align with your business or your values. You start chasing instead of building, because pressure will have you moving fast, but not necessarily in the right direction. We have all these shiny object syndrome. We see stuff and we're like, oh, because what I'm doing is not working, so let me switch over to that. But I follow a social media person who has shared her 111. And for some people, that's not the greatest method. But for her, she definitely made it work. And for her and her clients, where you pick one platform, one problem, you identify one problem, come up with one solution, pick one platform, and you do that, sell that one thing for 1 year. And once you've gotten, because in 1 year, you're going to figure out all the kinks, bumps, and obstacles, you're going to get all out of the way. And then once you have a machine running, then you can duplicate that and do it more. So once you have a system running and you know exactly what you're doing. So, but if you constantly having shiny object syndrome, and it's definitely a squirrel syndrome for me, then you may be moving, but not necessarily in the right direction. Peace, on the other hand, keeps you aligned, and alignment is more powerful than speed. We all heard the story about the rabbit and the tortoise, right? You want to be aligned, and you don't, and speed, just sometimes you get sloppy with speed. You try to rush, you try to do so much, you get sloppy, you mess up. And instead of going 2 steps forward, you end up going 2 steps back. Just make sure that you are not rushing through things, because pressure will push you out of alignment. Next, we're talking about trusting God, because trusting God requires letting go of control. We think we got it all under control, and truthfully, we do not. And this is the part we don't always talk about, because trusting God sounds good. Oh, yeah, I give it all to you, God, until it requires you to release control. And then it's God say he got it, but you're like, you need any help? Right? Control says, I need to know how this is going to work. But faith, well, that's a different beast, because it says, I trust that it will. I don't need to know how it works. If I'm giving it to God, He's going to work this thing out. He's going to work it out. I am not going to even worry about it. I know that this is all going to work together for my good. It's going to happen. It might be It might not come when I want it, might not come when I want it, but it's going to be right on time. Control says, I need this to happen by this time. And faith says, hey, God, your timing is better than mine. Excuse me. Your timing is better than mine. And that doesn't mean you stop working. That don't mean, oh, I'm going to sit back with God. He going to do it when he do it. No, because faith without works is dead. So there needs to be an action going along with your faith. So we don't want you to stop working. It means you stop striving. You stop trying to do so much, right? You stop trying to be the end all be all. If you give it to God and you trust that he's going to do it for you, then you make the necessary steps and it's like letting the chips fall where they may, right? You do what you need to do and God will make the necessary appointments. Because sometimes it even comes down to meeting people who make connections and do different things that you were not expecting or anticipating, invitations that you might get, shows you might be invited to be on, summits that somebody might ask you to speak, panel events. Really, there's so many opportunities and so many things that could possibly happen when you let down control and give it to God so that he can take care of all of the miscellaneous bits and pieces that need to happen for you in that moment. So we talked about how comparison distorts your timeline. God's timing is not delay, it's development. And pressure will push you out of alignment. Lastly, trusting God requires letting go of control. So let me ask you something honestly. Where have you been feeling behind? Is it your income, your consistency, your growth, your visibility? What part of your business, what do you feel that you're behind in? So I want you to go ahead and drop one word in the chat below. Let me know what that is. You can say income, consistency, growth, visibility, clients, onboarding, offboarding, whatever the case may be, wherever you feel like you may be stuck. Email, that might be one. Because when you name it, you can release it. Okay. I want you to name it, drop it in the comments, and release it. I want you to hear this clearly. You are not too late. You are not behind. You are being prepared. You are being developed. And everything you're learning right now, even the hard parts, are building you up. They're building something in you that you will need later. And nothing is wasted in God's timing. All right. So as you move through this week, I want you to do one thing differently. When the thought comes up, I'm behind, replace it with I'm being prepared, because you're not behind. You're being prepared. You're being developed. These are lessons that you are learning for a later date. And I want you to move from that place of feeling like you're behind. Not pressure, not panic, not comparison, none of the above, but trust. Trust that God is going to do it, and he's going to do it in his timing. Trust that he has already made a way, that this path is preordained, that even as you struggle, it will all work together for your good. Now, before you go, if this message spoke to you, please share it with another mom who needs to hear this. And if you're inside the Mompreneur HQ, let's continue the conversation there. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe to our socials. Follow us on at the Digi Mompreneur on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. We would love for you to comment there. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what topics that you're interested in hearing more about. But we will be continuing our conversation about faith in our BFFs pillars that we work through in the Mompreneur HQ community. Make sure that you're joining us for this series. Remember, our BFFs are business, faith, family, and self care, because we are dealing with the holistic package, the whole mom, and all of these things are wrapped up in who we are and what we do. So we want to make sure that when we talk about the Mompreneur HQ and our BFFs, we're talking about business, faith, family, and self-care, so that our moms in our community would recognize that they are a whole person and that we want to do all of these things in entrepreneurship. Because sometimes we talk about, what is it, work-life balance, and I really think it's more like life work harmony. And that means that it's a collective. We don't have to pick and choose which one is going to be a priority in our lives. We're going to learn how to manage all of it together as mom entrepreneurs in the Mompreneur HQ community and growing our business in the Digi Mompreneur Academy. So thank you so much for joining us today and spending this time as we talked about not being behind, trusting God's timing in your business journey. I will see you in the next episode of the Making of a Mompreneur show. Until next time.